Thomas Edison patented the first commercially viable light bulb. It changed the world forever, created millions of jobs, and launched Edison General Electric, GE. Can the government today create green jobs by banning Edison's light bulb and forcing consumers to buy a more costly alternative? It's a burning question in Winchester, Virginia. For 35 years, the General Electric lamp plant in Winchester, Virginia, provided hundreds of Americans with good, high-paying jobs.
When I first got hired on, there was 900 plus employees. Everybody wanted a job.
Dwayne Madigan worked at the plant for almost 14 years.
I made $30 an hour. With the pay I was making, it was two incomes, basically.
In other words, you were doing well.
Yeah, we're doing real good.
Doing real good, he says, until President George W. Bush signed the Energy Independence and Security Act of 2007. The law, in effect, banned the incandescent light bulb, gradually, starting in January 2012. The main idea was to reduce greenhouse gases, but one of the measure's co-sponsors, Congressman Fred Upton, said it would create jobs, too. The Michigan Republican wrote in a press release, quote, "Today's incandescent bulbs employ the same technology as the bulbs Thomas Edison first created over 120 years ago. This common-sense bipartisan approach partners with American industry to save energy as well as help foster the creation of new domestic manufacturing jobs." President Obama predicted more jobs, too, when Democrats beefed up the light bulb bill a year and a half later.
Today, we're announcing actions that will create jobs in the short run and save money and reduce dangerous emissions in the long run.
Within a month, GE told its Winchester employees their jobs would be shipped to Mexico. What was the reaction from workers when you were all told the plant was closed?
It wasn't a good thing. It's never a good thing when you're told you're going to lose your job.
Dwayne Madigan said GE held out one last reason for hope, the possibility of retrofitting the Winchester factory to make new kinds of bulbs that conform to the congressionally mandated requirements.
They even come in and did some test runs, and checked the machines and stuff to see if they could run them.
In the end, GE closed the plant, even though GE employees offered to slash their wages and benefits to save their jobs. What did they tell you?
We would have to work for nothing before they would even think of considering it.
To add insult to injury, Madigan says, GE offered to keep some of its soon-to-be unemployed on for a couple of extra weeks, but only if they trained their Mexican replacements to do their jobs. Did you volunteer to go?
No. To go down and train somebody to do my job when I'm losing my job, I couldn't do it.
One thing seems certain, however. If the light bulb ban does create new jobs, it looks as though it will create them overseas. While it has shut down its Virginia plant, GE will continue to manufacture the congressionally approved compact fluorescent bulbs, but they'll do it in China. We made repeated interview requests to General Electric to get their side of the story. They declined our offer. What do you think the lesson is to be learned here?
Congress should understand that passing such legislation has unintended consequences.
Texas Republican Ted Poe has led the charge against the light bulb provision of the Clean Energy Act.
And the unintended consequences are that Americans are out of work. They lose their jobs.
What do you say to the people out there who say we have to do something as a nation to conserve energy?
We have to give Americans the choice. When it comes to energy efficiency, the federal government saying you shall go to green energy because there's not going to be any alternative is not the way to proceed.
And so last July, Poe, along with the majority of his Republican colleagues, voted to repeal the ban. But a procedural quirk allowed the Democrats to sustain it. Among those voting for the repeal, one of the ban's original proponents, Congressman Fred Upton. The Michigan Republican wouldn't talk to us on camera about his change of mind, but in a statement to Fox News, he says, quote, "It was never my goal for Washington to decide what type of light bulbs Americans should use." Poe tells us that he and his Republican colleagues will keep pushing to repeal the ban. But that's cold comfort to Dwayne Madigan. How would you feel if the bill was repealed?
I mean, it's going to be a slap in the face, and I mean, if I could step up in front of Congress or whoever passed the bill and go off on them, I would. But they'd probably put me in cuffs and put me in the car.
The federal government, in the effort to move the United States to green energy, needs to understand that there are consequences for legislation. And this legislation affected real people.
You think those jobs are gone forever?
I think those jobs for those 200 people in Virginia are gone. They're not coming back to the United States.
The simple fact is, they cost me my job.